You may have seen it. It's the Geico commercial with the camel.
Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
So we had said in the initial email that there was going to be a camel in the scene, and somehow the property manager overlooked that. So then we were on a future scout, and she was there. We were talking about the camel. You were there too, right? And she said, "Oh, I thought that was a joke."
Heather, Chris, I appreciate you both for being on the show. You guys are awesome. It's funny because you guys are probably the only people I've interviewed so far that are actually in the same industry.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So most people we've done so far have no idea about any of this. So it's very comforting that you guys understand the process because there's a level of understanding between us. But anyways, let's get started.
Great.
Yes.
So I want to start off, give me a little bit of background about your guys' personal story back end. You guys can take turns however you want to do it, and then we can kind of get into your company, because I think it's really interesting because your company does something that I don't think many people even think exists. So that's why I believe this podcast would be a very interesting educational podcast for people that are watching. So who wants to go first?
So I mean, I can start just briefly tell you what our company does. So we work in the film industry, and we are a location agent. So what that means is we work primarily with commercial office properties, like this one that this studio is in, is an office building in Culver City. And they hire us to promote their vacant space and their common areas to the film industry. So if you're in Los Angeles and you own a commercial office building, you can do pretty well making revenue from filming. So we kind of match the two together. Production comes to us and says, you know, we're looking for a set of cubicles for NCIS LA. And then we match that with one of our properties. We oversee the shoot, and then we close it out. So that's in a nutshell what we do.
You guys are like the brokers of Hollywood.
We're brokers, and then we also manage the process. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's generally what we do.
And how does your relationship work? Who does what?
Okay, so well, my history briefly, I used to manage commercial office buildings, and I did that for about 12 years. And so when I did that, I would film inside the buildings that I had vacancies in. And at that time, there were really no agents like us that existed. And there was one agent that came about in the early 90s that started taking on commercial buildings. Before that, location managers would just go knock on the door of a high rise and hope that, you know, it had what they needed in the building and that the person would respond, and it was a little tough that way. So the first agency came about, and Chris actually worked for that agent. So, and I was his client. So he did the filming in my building, and that's how we first met. I did that for about 12 years, really liked it, really liked the filming part of it. And then I started, my entrepreneurial spirit kicked in, and I was thinking, you know, what would my next career be where I could create my own hours, have a flexible schedule, and still work with these property owners that I have a good relationship with, and that, you know, it's fun. It's fun being in the buildings and all that. So, so basically filming, and I wanted to leave and also do a little writing at the time. So I left commercial real estate, started writing, and then started thinking, you know, with this filming thing, I could really consult with, at that time there were agents that did houses, they did, you know, medical spaces, industrial spaces, but not commercial office buildings. So I thought, why don't I, you know, consult with them, and I'll bring them into the office world. So that was kind of the first way I took a stab at it. And what happened from that is it was very difficult, because a home is very different than filming in a high-rise office building. In an office building, it's very, you know, your primary concern here in these buildings is your tenants, and not disrupting the tenants, following the rules and regulations. In a home or an industrial vacant warehouse, it's a little more lax. So it was kind of tricky for those agents to do the crossover. And eventually I thought, you know, I probably should just start my own company. And then what I was missing, though, was the person that had all those relationships with the production side. I had about 30 buildings already, but I really needed to market them to the film industry. And then I happened to run into Chris on Facebook, of all things. I had created a Facebook page for the company, and I was looking for, I think, a photographer to take pictures of the space. And I posted something, and Chris responded, and I had heard that he had left the company he was with. And so I got a hold of him and said, let's get together and do breakfast and see kind of what happens. So I didn't know if he wanted to get back into the industry. I heard he was doing residential real estate sales. So that's kind of how it started.
So how was it for you?
It was great. It was just an opportunity that I saw. Oh, I remember Heather. Let me, I'm doing real estate. I'm good with photography. Let me respond. Hey, remember me? And we quickly realized that we were basically on the same page with what we wanted to do. With the other company I was with, it was great, but if you're not running the company, you're following the rules of someone else. And I just felt like I couldn't really grow. So we were really on the same page in a lot of ways. And together we really, I think, have done phenomenal. So it's
you guys fit the puzzle pieces perfectly for each other.
We did, and kind of my idea too when I left was there's an agent that does mainly downtown Los Angeles and a handful of buildings in Century City, so more the bigger buildings. But a lot of my friends in the industry, have smaller buildings in the Valley, Mid-Wilshire. So that was my first idea was, well, let's target those areas because they really want filming. And location scouts know to go downtown or Century City. That's where the agent is that can help them find their space. So that was one of my ideas. And then Chris just had a ton of ideas on how to make the production side better and easier for them that he can talk about too. So it ended up we both wanted to kind of do things differently and make them better. And we were really inspired from the very beginning. So
that's amazing. That's amazing.
It was good.
So LA is, obviously the mother of all filming. Does this ever happen in any other cities?
It does. It does happen. They have the TMZ, which is the 30-mile zone. It's kind of ambiguous exactly where the center of it is. And
by the way, I had no idea. When you told us about this a couple weeks ago, you were like, TMZ. I was like, yeah, I know what TMZ is, like 30 miles. I was like, that's what it means? I had no
He thought it was a TV show.
Yeah.
And that's where he got the name from, the 30-mile zone. So that's the area where you can film in without paying for transportation or overnight stays. So that's where the industry has said, this is the area that you can have all your productions and not pay the expense of, all right, if we're Orange County, it's okay, we're out of the zone. So if we're there multiple days, now I have to pay for parking, from the parking from outside the zone to however far the location is, possibly overnight stays, things like that. So it's more affordable, per se, to be in that 30-mile zone. But with production, they're willing, if something looks good, to go outside that zone. So we do have things within the zone, outside the zone, and it's.
How often are you guys outside the zone?
It depends. It has to be really special because if you're looking at apples to apples, and from an expense part, they're going to say, well, if they're pretty much the same, let's just go with the one inside the zone. If it's something outside the zone, it really needs to be worth their while. And there's plenty of properties that are outside the zone are worth their while. So
yeah, definitely.
What kind of? So let's talk about the fun stuff. What kind of movies? What kind of stuff do you guys see behind the scenes? Actually, let's do this. Tell me about like the craziest thing you've experienced BTS.
Okay, so there was there's so many. One of the important things is this is what we've learned too, that we knew in the beginning, but we've really learned over time. Communication is so important on both sides, with the property and with the production company, because we have crazy things happen.
Well, and this is really the service that we provide. So we could, if you ask for something, I could say, oh yeah, here's hundreds of places you can go look at. That's the easy part. For what we do is we try to narrow down what they need. And this call was, I need a building that can land a helicopter during the weekday, have automatic gunfire on the helipad, find a floor that we can do a hostage situation and have automatic gunfire, close down the lobby for a scene for about 4 hours, close down the loading dock, and then pop out during the weekday. During
TV
4 days.
Weekday.
Yeah. Woo! So there was a building I thought it could work. And I said, okay, well, out of all of them, here's a few that I think could work, but of course we'll pitch it to the buildings and see. And really it's our relationships that we have with the building where they know, okay, yeah, this is going to be tricky, but I trust you to know what you're doing to bring this to fruition. And really production companies do too, because the last thing they want to do is oh yeah, this is a great building, and they go to show up, and oh
They
yeah, we
can't
don't
have
want
it.
you to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why are you wasting production's time? The director loves it now, and oh, you can't do that. So we want to make sure that we give everyone the information on both sides. And I even said to both of them, I said, all right, well, so you realize what they want to do, and you realize what you want to do. You think we can really make this happen? So, yes, I think we can make this happen, and it happened.
And there's
it
a lot
was
of hand-holding
amazing.
from the property side too. So not only do they need to agree in concept with what's happening, but we try and help them look that you're going to have to inform the tenants about that. Most of them know that, but some of them will. We have properties that we do the tenant memo to their staff. Like if it's certain times a year, buildings get busy with budgets. There's all kinds of things that can happen. So we're able to. And because of our experience in property management, we're able to step in and really help. The other thing with that one is, we need to notify all the neighbors in that area, because if another residential high-rise down the street sees someone coming out of a window, they're going to panic. And so there's a lot involved
oh,
with the
shit.
scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of
what's
things
happening?
involved. Yeah,
Someone's
so
jumping out a window.
production handles a lot of that as well, but it's really working with their team. So they have a team that works with us, and then we have a team with the building. So it's just constant communication and making sure that what they want, because ultimately they want the shot, and that's what's important, and that's what they want.
And that's all they care about.
And the building wants to
keep the
bring
building.
in the revenue and have the excitement of a film crew, but doesn't want to have their tenants like, well, what are we doing here? We don't want to be in your building. So it's really bridging the gap to make both clients happy, and that's
So you guys are like the
And-
final call when it comes to both ends. So good luck to. So I can see how you guys are like fighting fires all the time.
yeah. It's
Well,
a lot of
it's
it
just
is
a lot
trying
of
to.
communication. It's
Yeah.
a lot of and things change too. Like
rapidly?
we'll have a concept and present it to the building, and they'll okay it, and then we get to the final scout, which is the tech scout. That's when all the departments come and really look at the practical location and decide what they're going to do. So it's about 30 people, and then things can change. The director can say, "Oh, I want to add a scene over there." So then we have to explain that to the property. So there's a lot of kind of back and forth and discussions like that. We had one shoot where you may have seen it. It's the Geico commercial with the Camel.
Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
So we had said in the initial email that there was going to be a camel in the scene, and somehow the property manager overlooked that. So then we were on a future scout, and she was there. We were talking about the camel. You were there too, right? And she said, "Oh, I thought that was a joke."
and we were going to shoot, and ownership was coming through. So her boss comes by and says, "Well, I trust you guys because you did have an elephant in the same building a couple months back." So it was really the trust that they know that we're going to bring them something that may be a little odd. Okay, we're hanging. Other commercials, there's nothing happening. It's a guy sitting at his desk, and it's pretty mundane. But they trust whether it's a very simple commercial or having an animal or explosions and gunfire, that we know what we're doing. We're going to look out for their best interest, but also production knows that we're going to look after theirs as well to make sure that it all works out.
Yeah.
So it's.
Tell about that commercial, so that was funny because you were on set for that one.
For the
way
elephant?
The voiceover.
Oh no, for the voiceover. Okay,
For the camel.
So the camel is curious as he's walking. He's moving his head and he's looking at the cubicles. And they had.
Oh, the camel! You guys put the camel.
We put the camel
inside
an office
Oh yeah,
space.
he was in the office.
Oh my god!
So
insane.
they had a guy doing voiceover, which they normally don't do. The voiceover usually happens on the finished product.
Afterwards.
But they had the guy doing voiceover while the camel was walking through the set. I'm sure we wasted a lot of cuts because everyone on the crew was laughing.
dying.
It was the funniest thing you've ever seen.
It
Even
was
the actors are like,
perfect. If you see the commercial, the voiceover is perfect with the camel.
and it was just it was insane. Everyone, even the actors were like, oh my, it was just hilarious. So it was,
What kind of precautions do you guys take to make sure that the building stays together?
So
in one
that's
piece?
one of definitely one of our biggest priorities, and what is different for high rise than maybe some other animals like empty warehouses, stuff like that. Again, the main concern is the tenants and also the building and making sure that things aren't damaged. What we do is we have qualified site reps and scouts that work for us. So every time we have a film shoot, we have a site rep that's there that's trained in commercial office, and he's also, or she is, the liaison between production and the building. So it's a really important position for us. So that person is there. We pre-photograph all the areas that the film crew is going to be in, and we Basically, the film crew has safety meetings before the shoot happens, and they know the rules and regs of the building, so the site rep is there to make sure it's all being followed. Things definitely happen. You know, in a studio like this, someone could put a tennis shoe on this, and it's smudged, has to be repainted. Production kind of knows that ahead of time, but they'll have someone that messes up and accidentally go. So then we do a recap to the building right after the shoot, like this is what happened. This doorknob got broken off, or if something like that happens, we have a security deposit and it's taken right out of that and paid for. So
okay.
But we work with production to say, okay, based on this space, we'll need a path of layout board. Here's your entrance from the loading dock. This is where you'll load in. This is where you're going to stage things. So kind of everyone knows what's going on. That being said, a tech scout is the department heads. Those department heads then need to tell the other 80 people that are going to show up on set where to go and what to do. So it's basically the site rep is orchestrating 30 to 80 to 100 to even more coming into a space that's not used to having that many people necessarily in there, figuring out where the paths to travel, where people should go, where are the restrooms, where's access, just everything. And
you guys take care of
we take care of all that. And we work with production in the building to make sure that all right, everyone's good on this. All right, great, let's do it. So it makes it what we want to do is make it as easy as possible for production to come in and do what they want to do, and for the building to say, yeah, this is great. I barely even knew they were here. So, yeah.
And is this a service that's popular in the industry, or?
It's
so definitely.
Yeah.
If you're in a commercial office building, and we have now over 300 office properties in the 30-mile zone, and so I would say yes. I mean, there's a handful of buildings that absolutely do not want filming. They had a bad experience. Very few buildings have that attitude. There's some buildings that are weekend only. There's other buildings that they will film 24/7 in any area they have available. They'll also reach out to their tenants to film in their tenant spaces. So it is very good revenue for a building, and if it's done right, it's a win-win for everybody. So it's for us, it's a matter of educating those managers. We do a lot of marketing. We do a lot of events with them. And just getting the word out about how it can be a good experience. And once your reputation's built as an agent, managers talk to each other. We just got a referral yesterday on a building from a manager that had a good experience, and we have a shoot already scheduled there. So
very cool.
Yeah,
actually, we're doing a tech scout tonight, so it's like, oh, okay,
and
great.
it's kind of like once they get through the first shoot, maybe the first two, then they have a comfort level that it can be easy. And
you definitely don't realize, I've been doing this almost 25 years, and it still blows me away how many people it takes to do a 30-second commercial. And it's there, and we're there the whole day. I'm like, wow,
you have to
that
tell
many
people,
trucks,
look, 100 people are going to be in your lobby, and this is what's going to happen. But we're going to take these precautions. They're not going to affect ingress, egress. Your tenants and visitors can still come and go,
and they'll be compensated for it. So it's it's definitely a win-win. But it's not for the faint at heart. If you've never seen a commercial before, there's a lot to it, or even a TV show. Even a still shoot could be 30 people, and they have cables here, and they got everyone has
a bunch of
needs
stuff happening.
Yeah, so
but some of the buildings, like their concern is the tenants will be upset, and it ends up the tenants are down in the lobby because they want to watch the film crew. So it can actually work out well as long as you inform your tenants about what's happening in the building.
Everybody has to know what's going on.
Yeah, as long as we don't impact their parking and their ability to get in and out of the building, it tends to be. Okay. And it's Los Angeles, so people are used to filming. They're used to having to deal with it. Maybe on the street where they live, or definitely on the streets of downtown or Century City. Or
what I find so funny about LA is from the outside, from from the Middle East, people think I live in heaven. They think it's like Cloud 9.
Yes.
And I'm like, guys, not really.
Yeah.
It's really not that cool. Like LA, like I'm not gonna lie, a lot of cool stuff happens here, but overall as a city, it blows.
We love it. I'm from a small town in Arizona, and I absolutely love it.
You like LA?
Energy.
Well, I grew up in Orange County, but I love LA.
I'm born and raised in OC, and I probably would never leave that bubble. Like I like that. Listen, like I might move here if I have to because of work.
Yeah.
But telling me to drive 3 miles and it takes me 35 minutes? No.
That's the price for the beautiful sunshine and perfect weather.
It's true.
Yeah, my cousins came down here like a long time ago, and they were talking about the Hollywood sign, and then I took them there, and they're just like,
And it took you 3 hours to get there.
Yeah, it took me like forever to get
Yeah.
there.
And then you're
I'm
standing
just-
there going.
And I'm like, guys, this is what the whole thing is all about. And they look around and they're just like, oh, okay, I get what you mean. It's really not that like. I think what makes LA cool is what happens in it, not necessarily like.
The getting around part is tricky, but what happens in it is just.
Well, LA's changed a lot. When I first started doing this, downtown LA at night, ghost town. And now you go there and it's like, where are all these people? There's people that live here and there's so many things going on. It's exciting. So that's another element to our job too. It's not the days where you can just close down the street and do whatever you want. You still can, but there's more layers to it. Now you got to notify there's all these residents that are living there. Okay, well that's a whole other layer. So it's interesting to see how the city has evolved and how that affects our business too.
And
So
you were bringing up that, I remember last time we were talking, you brought up that like, the closing down the streets doesn't necessarily happen that much anymore.
no, it still does. It's just more of a challenge. And there's certain streets that are easily, that's your go-to street. You want to shut it down.
For car commercials, for sure, that still happens. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
mainly
There's
downtown.
several areas where they.
Well, that must be fun to see happen.
You'll start to see. Next time you watch a couple car commercials, look for the streets that they drive down, and then the country roads and the bridges where
They're
the
all
tunnels.
similar,
They're almost
like-
the same streets. It's the
Yeah.
2nd Street or 3rd Street tunnel. It used to be the 6th Street bridge. Now it's either 4th Street bridge, 1st Street bridge,
Yeah.
Lower Grand, and then some country roads. So
Open
it's almost it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
It's
they have
like-
that one. What's that one bridge in the Fast and Furious movie?
Oh, which one? Well, it may
the
be
one in
gone.
LA,
Is
the
that
one
what
in
the
downtown.
LA River-
Well, so
They're
it may have been the
redoing?
6th Street bridge that they're redoing, but there's the 1st Street, 4th Street, 6th Street bridge. That's
It's a
very
beige
popular.
color. You know what I'm talking about? A white beige color.
Well, yeah.
I don't know what
The
it's
one
called.
they're redoing. I think
Yeah,
that's
it might be the
6th
one. It
Street
might be the
Bridge.
6th Street bridge.
Yeah. That's a very popular bridge. I see that like
yeah.
in every freaking commercial, every
Yeah, yeah.
music video, every.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is really still a small world. So even though things have changed, there's a lot of go-tos that people know. And like with us, they know, like, look, these are the properties that we like to go with. They know that we're going to put them in properties that want filming that are going to fit for that particular project. And so it's fun. It's really neat to be able to see that you had a part of something that was on TV or in a movie. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's like what we talked about, and the building managers get excited. We send them, a copy of what has been shown.
Well, that's
and
the other thing that we do
it's
that we wanted to do when we started the company is we keep track of all the production. So as soon as that Camel commercial came out, we send it to all our clients. It goes up on our website, so we keep track of all that. So, and
Very
then
cool.
marketing is really important to us on both sides.
Yeah.
So property managers they want to know, like, how are you marketing our space? How are people finding out about it? So we have a newsletter that goes out to production every 2 weeks, and we feature 4 different properties. And maybe a commercial or TV show that we did is featured in that, and we try and feature a client, either a location manager or a property manager. One of the ideas that we've thought of lately for that and for social media is to start doing podcasts like this with our clients, with the property clients, and with the
I think that would be pretty
production
awesome
client,
because
right?
you can
to
kind
get their
of-
point of view,
yeah, you
and
can create a
people want to know
transparency.
what they do, because
Yeah.
both jobs are exciting. Both those businesses are really exciting, and young people that are just graduating from college and aren't sure what they want to do, and or right out of high school and want to know about the film industry or the property management industry. This is a great way to learn about it on video.
That's the thing about this industry is one of those industries where you're just like, if you don't know anything about it, you're like, where do I start?
Yeah.
Well, even with me, when I first started,
Or what's it
I
about?
didn't know what I
Yeah.
wanted to do. I started working for a location company. It was a site rep and was all right, trial, here you go.
Yeah.
Run this thing. You're like, okay. And it was like, all right, it was a great learning experience. But I realized certain jobs I thought were cool that maybe I want to do that. Oh God, no. And other jobs that I wasn't thinking about. That's kind of, it really broadens your horizons on what the industry is. And there's a lot to it. I mean, there's so many facets of it that you could get into. And I like the fact that I'm in the industry, but I'm a 9-to-5er essentially. We do work after hours and there's weekends and things, but for the most part, we're negotiating the deals, we're bringing things together. So I'm not working 18 hours on a set, so it's fun. I get to a little bit of both worlds. So
based off of your professional experience, how does somebody build connections in this industry?
So
Like
on
if
the
I don't know
property,
anybody,
so
where do I
on
start?
so on the property side, and then you can talk about the production side. On the property side, I mean, the way I did it, I started young. It was my first job out of college. I moved to Los Angeles, and I was recruited to a company that recruited from my college for property management. So I started out as a leasing assistant, and I just kind of went up from there. I didn't really like leasing, to be honest. And I was actually, I moved to LA to be a writer. So all the time I was thinking, well, I'll eventually do that. And I interviewed for the LA Times, and the pay wasn't enough to cover my rent. So a recruiter told me, come and work in commercial real estate. It's great pay, and then you can go back to the paper later. And then I went into management in Century City, and I really liked it. I really liked the team building. I liked the intricacies of the buildings. Like it was just really exciting. So yeah, it kind of testing it out. And then now I tell people it's a pretty easy industry to get into. You just have to, recruiters are great, or you know someone that's already in the industry. We just got a call from one of our friends who's a portfolio manager who had a daughter-in-law that wanted to break into either property management or the film industry, and she wasn't sure. So we talked to her kind of about both, but a lot of it's word of mouth, and it's a great career. I did it for a while. I feel like I still do it because I'm still in the buildings a lot, and we're still dealing with the same issues, the fire life safety, the tenants, the security, and all that, and running a building. And on the production side, how you break into that's
a lot of it too
right?
is just connections. You really, it's not, sometimes it's who you know, but it's not, it's just really what's your passion? What do you think you want to do? For me, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. A friend of my mom's worked for the company, and I said, hey, my son's kind of interested in the entertainment industry. Would you talk with him? And it turned into be a job interview. I had no idea that this job even existed. And so it was a really neat way to work in the business end. I had, computer and desk and did that. But I'd go on the field, I'd be a site rep. And so it was neat to kind of see that and just work whatever I wanted to do. And I was okay, I kind of like this. Let's just stay with this path. So entertainment, there's so many different aspects of it. I think you just reach out to people who are in the industry. They're pretty friendly. We've had people, hey, can you talk to someone who's interested in getting in the industry, and location managers or the people producers we know. So yeah, I'll talk with them and see, because it's
for sure.
It's a like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and you still see people that I've known forever. Like, oh, hey, how are you? Where do we work on together? And you forget what you work on, but it's a really good industry, and I've been really thankful that I've been in it, and
Who are the harder people to connect to?
Who are the harder people?
Yeah,
well,
like,
the above the line, I could imagine, would be more difficult. The directors, the actors themselves.
But it is neat when you can make a connection. So you got to know how to play the room. So the director comes in, I'm not going to just be chatting him up. I'm going to let him do his job, and if he has questions, I'll either interject directly or to the location manager, depending on the situation, because I'm there to make the location manager's job easier. You got a question, let me help you. Or if I can interject to say, well, I'm not sure, oh yeah, we can do that here. Okay, oh yeah, we're able to land a helicopter here, great. So you're just kind of there in listen mode and watch mode to let them see their vision in the place. And sometimes it's not. They're very apologetic. Oh, sorry I didn't pick this location. It's okay. It's artistic, and we work with people that are artistic, and then we work with people that are regimented. This is building, and this is square footage, and so it's neat to really kind of work with both. And like I said, it's when you see something on screen that you even helped a little bit kind of get in that direction. It's pretty rewarding, and the building managers love it. It's like, oh my gosh, this is our building, and whether it's a little commercial or a big feature, it's pretty neat to see it.
I think what I find so interesting about the city is the 30-mile zone is changing the world. That's the cool part.
You know what? When I was in college, because I majored in political studies, and I started taking film when I was a junior, and I thought the same thing. I thought film is the most important medium in getting a message across, even political, no matter what it is, because that's. Oh yeah, for sure. The
media world's the way to go. I mean, it's interesting because I heard this concept of when a war happens, where do they first attack? It's the media. It's usually the media outlets, the media. They usually try to take over that first, because that's what, actually back then, like in the world wars, like they would take over the media departments first, because that's where the message is controlled. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's interesting that if you're able to control it and actually do good with it, how much there could be a lot of benefits to it. So there's definitely a lot of, I think that's what makes LA very interesting. Like in such a small area, so much is going down. Yeah. It's like intense.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
Yeah. So what's your what would you guys say, what's your favorite part about your job?
Well, for me, my favorite part of my job is I get to it's no day is the same. Like every day, I think every day I wake up excited. and I get up. I have kids that are busy, so I get up very early in the morning before they do, and that's when we do like contracts. Chris and I are talking all day because he'll start getting the calls with scouts starting like 8:30, 9 a.m. So he's dealing with production, and then I'm dealing with overseeing like, okay, we're gonna scout this building and this building and this building. So we're pretty busy kind of all day long with that, and then we're booking stuff and doing contracts. So there's no day where we're just sitting around with nothing to do. So that's fun. But just like we've been talking about, the creative kind of part of it is, every day something could,
Pop up.
come up that's interesting and exciting with the show, and then trying to find out what buildings would work, well for that. That's a challenge. So.
Yeah.
What about you?
And
What would you say?
Yeah, I would say I like that it's not the same. That I'm not driving in the car at the same time, going in the same office, and sitting down and doing the same thing every day. It is great that I can get a lot of work done on my computer. I can update the website, do certain things, and it's like then I'm out all day. Or like tonight, I'm doing Tech Scout. So it's kind of neat to be able to have a little more freedom in your schedule, as opposed to having to sit there driving the 405 at the same time every day. I like it, and also just kind of helping out, and it's kind of exciting. It's still exciting, even though a lot of it is like, okay, let's hurry up and go. You can make your decision, but it is neat in the end when you see the final product that's done. It really makes it worthwhile. And I mean, not that every aspect of the job is woohoo super exciting, but it's exciting enough where it's great. I mean, I wouldn't want to do anything else. So it's
And I
Chris
think
gets excited too about the website, because from the very beginning, I had kind of a shoddy little website I'd done with
that was
a
pretty bad.
consultant, and I had 30 properties on it, but I didn't understand like the way scouts want to see pictures really. So one of the first things Chris did was, this is not going to work. We need to change this up. And then he's constantly coming up with ways that based on what production needs, we need to redo our website and have that work for them.
Well, yeah, it's basically just knowing what your client's needs are. So originally, location managers, they get a call, they're looking for something, they call, I need to go out and scout it. Well, we kept getting calls where it's like, I just need to pull files off your website. I'm like, it's kind of weird. They've never done that before. They're paid to go out and scout. Well, as things changed, they were being paid to just pull files. Well, you could pull files off the website, but not that easy. And so as people were saying, well, it's hard to pull, can you do something? All right, let's figure it out. So we figured out a way that, what works for our clients, and that was one of the ways. So just trying to figure out how technology can help us make it work smarter, not harder. It's like, it's more fun that way. It's like, hard work is great, but if you can do things, more efficiently, it makes everyone happier. And so using technology has been big for us when it comes to communicating with the buildings, with our site reps, with each other. It's really it's been fun. So it's been neat to be able to kind of delve into a lot of my past experiences, really helping today, knowing how to do websites, photography, dealing with clients, on the building end, clients on the production end. It's been. Yeah,
and also, like, from my perspective, what makes you guys such a successful company is the passion behind it.
Yes.
Yeah, because like you guys aren't just doing the service. You guys are more concierge. You're like, if you need to be the janitor, you're the janitor for the day.
Yeah.
And so
I
think that's amazing.
For
Like
sure.
that definitely shows a strength from your perspective, and definitely whoever's watching this, like if you guys are looking to. These are the right people to work with, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because like when I see passionate people, I know that just tells me it just tells me everything. Like I don't even have to dig deeper. I'm like, okay, no, they're taking care of it. They're definitely doing what they're doing. So I really appreciate you both. Can you believe the time's up?
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah, it's already been like 40 minutes. Yeah, so.
I have a couple things more to say.
Well, go ahead. No, what's up? Go for it. We got time.
I was just thinking about it, and like because you were asking like what are the things we really like. So there's also like this weekend. So we're involved with some industry organizations, both property organizations and filming. So we used to be board members on the Location Managers Guild. That's the international guild for all location managers.
Okay.
And so this weekend we're going to, now we chair the marketing division for that company, or for that nonprofit. And so this weekend is their big award ceremony. So they bring in people from all over the world and they award them for shows. Like last year, did Game Thrones won.
I think Game of Thrones
so
won
they
last
issue
year.
like they give like 10 or 12 awards. So it's really exciting to be a part
that's
of
so
that.
cool.
Well, it's
So-
great that the industry is looking for location managers as a pinnacle part of the industry, because before they really weren't.
People don't know what they do.
In the sense
Yeah.
of they weren't recognized the way they needed to be, and it's great because it is a lot of work, and
and
It
that
feels good to be
organization
recognized
has-
for it.
yeah, and it feels good to really see them. They weren't union, and then they became part of 399, and so I've seen them, work with one or two location managers on huge feature films. Now they have teams, and they're given the tools that they need to really do their job even better. And it's been
Yeah.
really great to see the success of location managers over the last 25 years. And so it's great to work with organizations that really do care about the industry, people in the industry, and it's fun. Yeah.
And then on the property side, we do we actually co-host an event every year it's downtown Los Angeles, so it's on Hope Street, and it's called Hope for Firefighters. So we close down all of Hope Street, and we have like 25 fire stations that come and cook their popular firehouse food. And so there's celebrity food judges that judge the food. All the buildings, all the tenants come down out of the streets and have a great time.
like
There's
a party.
celebrity hosts, and they do the old-fashioned muster team games that the fire department did. So that's like a chance for us to thank, obviously, the fire department for what they do in general, for what they do for filming. They're very active with the film industry on shoots.
Yeah, we do
And-
actually work
that's a whole
closely. We
nother
do
thing
work
that we
closely
do.
with the FSOs. So anytime
Yeah.
you're in a commercial building during business hours, you're most likely going to have a spot check, or you'll have an FSO that's with you to make sure fire life safety, because we don't want people getting hurt. We always make sure exit doors are clear of cables. There's a certain way, if a cable does come through a door, there needs to be a break at that door in case there is an emergency. So we work with them as well as building staff to make sure that it is a safe for everyone. So that's and they're a great part of the industry as well as police officers.
I'm assuming
Yeah,
an
that's
FSO is
good.
a fire safety officer.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's they're
Sorry. the
No,
jargon
no,
gets
yeah,
lost.
no,
No,
you're good.
it's-
I just want to make sure
FSO.
everybody that's watching understands what an FSO is.
Yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
is really neat because we do. So a lot of location managers, they'll pull the permits, and we don't work with certain parts of the city. But when you're on set and you do get to see them, it's just great. It's a lot of people. There's a lot of moving parts to just even a simple filming. That's really neat to be a part of that. Yeah.
Definitely.
Again,
So,
as I said, very passionate individuals.
yeah.
I appreciate you a lot for that. Like,
Thank you.
It's good to see good people in the industry providing good service, because I think I think showcasing that is very important, because a lot of people nowadays feel like are talking about how the world's moving, society. I'm like, no, guys, there's a lot of good people out there. You just gotta look for
Yeah.
them.
And it's great what you're doing too, and podcasts are incredible too, because
Yeah.
it gives you a chance to
to remove
showcase that,
create a transparency between people and really show
Right.
the world what the world's about. Because I feel like
Yeah.
the people who are the loudest are the ones that are unfortunately the worst, because
Yeah.
and they're causing all this noise. When I'm like, no, guys, there's more good in this world, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like this platform helps showcase
show
that.
that.
Definitely.
It's great.
So
Yeah.
the location portal,
the location portal.
where did that come from? Let's finalize the podcast with that.
So
What
that
the inspiration
was
with
my so I originally thought of that name because remember, I think I said when I first started I wanted to branch out from downtown, and I also thought, and this is something we still think about and do today, my company, I was thinking, would not, maybe we wouldn't just be high-rise office buildings, we would also have residential, we would also have industrial, that type of property. So I wanted to think of a name that would kind of incorporate everything. So that's the genesis of the location portal.
Do you guys call it the location portal or TOP?
We do. Kind of the location.
A little of both, but mostly the
People know
location
us
portal.
location
Yeah.
portal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So, if somebody wants to work with you, find you, where can they go and how can they contact you?
TheLocationPortal.com.
That's it.
Woo!
It's the best way. And our app is the location portal.
Oh yeah, guys, they have an application. That's pretty.
Oh, did we
sweet.
not talk about the app? That was something that we came up with mainly for production, because they're out all the time in the street. So they're usually calling Chris or calling one of our scouts, and this is what I need. They're not in front of their computer at home necessarily. So we thought, okay, let's make it easy for them to search our locations. And so we launched the app for that. So that was the idea. Property managers can use it too, but it's mainly for the scouts that are looking for the space. So
I mean, as I said, I go back again. Like I'm telling you, you guys are killing it. So
Yeah,
like,
thank
go
you.
going above and beyond and create an application.
Well,
That's
also
pretty
there's
cool.
a lot of younger people entering the industry, so we try and stay up
makes it
on
easier.
that, and the social media and all that is super important. So that's
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, guys.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you both so much for hopping on, and
Sure.
I'll make sure for those of you guys that are interested in learning more, as they said, go to the locationportal.com. You guys definitely need to check them out. Even if you're not in the industry, I think it's definitely a very informative podcast you want to listen to and kind of learn about what the company's doing, because it's I think you guys are a crucial part of success when it comes to shoots and production and everything.
Yeah.
So
Thank
it's
you.
cool. It's cool to see to be able to kind of showcase what you guys are up to.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you both, and
you.
Sure.
thank you.
Thank you so
All right.
much.